Hi everyone, we're going to do 15 minutes of hip strength and mobility, and today I want to focus a little bit on splits, or in particular standing splits. I recommend having some blocks handy, especially if you find the splits challenging or the prospect of the splits challenging. Get some blocks because it always makes it a lot easier. You don't have to do the full version of anything. So let's start. To come to all fours position, start with the hands on the shoulders, then curl the toes and push your hips back and up to downward facing dog. When you start in downward dog, you just want you to walk the hips out right and left a couple of times. Bend the right knee and the left knee, just start to warm up a little bit the hips and the hamstrings. Go right and left a couple of times. As always with any of this stuff, you don't have to do, maximum intensity stretching. You just work at a level that's right for you. So warm your legs up a bit, warm your hips up a bit, go right and left a couple of times. Good. And then to step your right foot forward in between your hands and put your left knee on the floor. Just lift the chest up, push your hips forward, and then bring the hips back and flex the right foot straight and the right leg. Then bend the right knee, come forward, lift the chest up, you can come to the fingertips. If you need to use blocks here, use blocks here. And then bring the hips back, flex the right foot, and then come forward again, bend the right knee. Hips forward, just going to do a little bit of movement, bring the hips back, flex the right foot, straighten the right leg, come forward, this should be 5, do a low lunge, then hips back, flex the right foot, 5, hips forward, so you can do it 10 times, more or less, hips back, flex the right foot. You can go a little bit faster than I'm going, hips forward, lunge, hips back, flex the foot, good, hips forward, you can go slower as well, and hips back, this should be 8, more or less, and then hips forward, bend the right knee, and then hips back, 9, last one, hips forward, bend the right knee, good, hips back, good, flex the right foot, straighten the right leg, and then put the right foot down, curl the back toes, lift the knee up off the floor so you're in a Parsvattanasana, and then straighten the front leg, continue using blocks here. You can use blocks, you can have the hands on the floor if you're quite flexible, you'll find it easier with the hands on the floor, have the hands on the floor. But blocks makes it always just a little bit nicer, so you don't have to go into sort of the deepest range of motion straight away. Think of stretching the spine forward and trying to straighten the front leg. And if the hamstring feels super tight, have the knee a bit bent, that's okay. Just go with what you've got for right now. Breathe by the nose. Then we want to flex the right foot and bend the left knee. Straighten the left leg. And then bend the left knee. Straighten the left leg. Bend the left knee. Straighten the left leg. Bend the left knee. Straighten the left leg. Bend the left knee. Last one. Straighten the left leg. Then put the foot down. Bend the right knee. You're going to come to a high lunge. You can bring the arms up. And this high lunge, you want it just to not bounce, but just move up and down a couple of inches. And just do that 10 times. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. And then put your hands on the floor. Step your right leg back. So you come to downward facing dog and step your left foot forward in between the hands. Put the right knee on the floor. So we can do the same again. Again, you have your blocks if you had blocks last time underneath your hands. Lift the chest up, push the hips forward. Bring the hips back, flex the left foot. Come forward, bend the left knee, hips forward, lift the chest up. And then hips back, flex your left foot. And come forward. See, do a lunge. And then do a reverse lunge, flex the left foot. Good, come forward, lift the chest up. And then hips back, left leg straight. Forward, bend the left knee, chest up. And then back, hips back, flex the left foot. Good, bend the left knee, hips forward, chest up. Good, hips back, flex the left foot. Good, 3 more times. And back. 2. And back. Good, last one. Hips forward. Good, hips back. All right, and then put the foot down. Again, use your blocks if you need to. Straighten your back leg. Curl the back toes, lift the back knee up. So front leg can be bent, and then try and straighten it. Try and straighten it for Parsvattanasana. And then lengthen the spine. So if that means staying higher up to keep the spine straight, great, because then you'll feel the connection between the hamstring, the hips, and the lower back. Don't get the legs straight and have the spine really rounded. Just stay higher up if you need to. And then breathe a couple of breaths. Find a nice, slow and steady breathing pattern and try and stick with it. Good, 2. One more breath. 1. Then flex your left foot, bend the right knee. Straighten the right leg. Good, bend the right knee. Straighten the right leg. Bend the right knee. Straighten the right leg. Bend the right knee. 4. Straighten it. 1 more, bend the right knee. Straighten it. Good, put the left foot down. Bend the left knee. Bring your arms up. It's going to come to a high lunge. Come to a high lunge. Extend the back leg. And you're going to just do a little bit, I'd say pulses is one way of putting it, but just move up and down a couple of inches. And try and keep it controlled so it's not a bounce. 3, 4, it's controlled movement. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good, and then put your hands on the floor. Step your left leg back, so you come to downward facing dog. And step your right foot forward, put your left knee down on the floor. Now we're going to do a slightly different low lunge. Okay, this time I want the spine up and the hip above the knee and the heel below the knee. So your two knees look kind of like 90-degree angles, like a box. Now make sure you're not sticking your bum back behind you. Tuck your pelvis underneath, which means do a sort of posterior tilt of the pelvis and squeeze the left glute, squeeze the left butt cheek. Feel like you're trying to push your left leg forward, like you're trying to slide forward on the top of the left knee. So you feel a big stretch in front of the left hip, but not quite a stretch. You're actually activating the hip flexor. You're trying to make an active stretch. So you're slightly extending the hip at the same time, trying to contract the hip flexor muscle. That doesn't make much sense to you? Don't worry, just feel some sensation here. If you don't feel much sensation, maybe it's because you're sticking your bum out. So tuck the pelvis, squeeze the left glute, push the thigh forward, like you're trying to slide forward on the top of the knee. 3, keep breathing by the nose. 2, 1, good. And then grab your blocks, straighten your right leg, flex the right foot, have your hands on your blocks. And this time I want you to make it a bit more of an intense reverse lunge. So think of bringing the crown of the head towards the big toe. So you feel big stretch in the hamstring. You feel maximum stretch in the hamstring. And hopefully this will be maximum stretch that you feel when you do the Hanumanasana, when you do the splits. Now of course you can stay here. This is basically the splits. This is the same action. Otherwise slide your left leg forward and get to wherever you get to. Maybe it's here, maybe it's all the way down to the floor. If you find you need some support, you can put a block underneath your thigh, your hip, so you can rest the weight onto it. Okay? And then come down to wherever you get to in the split. Okay, it doesn't have to be that low. It can be all the way down. If it's easy for you, then great. Splits is it's more like you can use it as a diagnostic, a test to see how flexible your hamstrings and your hips feel on any given day. You could just hold it another 3 more breaths. You can have your hands for support. You can even lift your arms up. Good, 1 more breath. And bring your hands to the floor. Pull your right leg back. So you come back to all fours position. Curl the toes. Push your hips back and up to downward dog and step your left foot forward in between the hands. Put your right knee on the floor. Okay. Get the spine up, lengthen tailbone down, contract the right butt cheek, push your right leg forward, try and slide forward on the top of the knee. So again, activate the hip flexor like you're trying to bring your knee to your chest. If you think of trying to bring your knee to your chest, you can't because the floor is in the way, but that's the action you're trying to create in the muscle. You can contract the muscle while you stretch it. You can contract the muscle as it's lengthening, which seems counterintuitive, but it's just the way the body works. You do it all the time without even thinking about it in lots of different postures. Good. Just hold another 5, 4. Tuck the pelvis, contract the right butt cheek. 3. Breathe by the nose. 2, 1. Good. And then straighten your left leg, flex your left foot. come to this reverse lunge, and think of bringing the crown of the head towards the big toe. Have support, have your blocks handy. Think of lengthening the spine forward. The most intense stretch you feel for the hamstring is in reverse lunge. The same as in the splits, unless you do, of course, over split kind of stuff, then it's different. But for now, just think of crown of the head to the big toe, and then feel the stretch in the hamstring, and don't go any further than that in the split. So don't push it too hard. Just got to go gently always. Make sure don't overstretch. One more breath. And then slide the left leg forward. Slide the right leg back. And get to where you get to. And if you do this on a regular basis, you'll notice it probably does improve. I say probably because it's not guaranteed. Everyone's hips are a little bit different. Everyone's connective tissue's slightly different construction. So you might find that it doesn't seem to improve, but keep trying it anyway. Don't get too attached to the result of it. Don't get attached to the idea you've got to get your hips down in the splits. That's when you end up hurting yourself, when you try and force yourself. Hold it, one more breath. Okay, then put your hands on the floor. Push, try and pull your left leg back. So you come to downward facing dog. Come forward to a plank. Put your knees on the floor. And then you're going to lift your right leg up and extend the leg so it's in line with the body. I'm just going to make sure you're not arching the spine. Okay, make sure you're not dropping the belly down. Keep the stomach in. You can tuck the pelvis a little bit, keep the ribs in so the whole front of the body is hollow. And then you're going to lift the right leg up 10 times. 1, 2. So you're squeezing the glute. 3, 4, 5. It's about 3-4 inches. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then bring the right leg. This is where it becomes a bit active. Well, that's been passive flexibility. Lift your left leg up. Extend the left leg and then lift it up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Squeeze the glute. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, put the knee down. Curl the toes. Push your hips back and up to downward dog. We can do that again in downward dog. Just make sure you're not arching the spine as to do it. Okay, this is trying to get a hip extension. So you're really trying to work the strength of the glute. Lift the right leg up. 1. Squeeze the glute. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right leg down. Left leg up. Go 1. Squeeze the glute. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. Now walk your feet in a bit closer so you're in a kind of shorter stance. We can do it again. So lift the right leg up. So almost towards standing splits. 1. Squeeze the glute. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Of course here you can have your hands on blocks if you need to. If you find you can't, get the legs straight on the standing leg. Lift the left leg up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Squeeze the glute. 10. So hips should feel like really being used for this one now. Step your feet forward. So normally in doing standing splits I'd practice it against the wall, but I'm not going to use this very fancy light wall in case I break it. So instead we're just going to do standing split standing. Okay, just to finish. All right. So you're going to put your left hand on the floor. Grab your right ankle, grab your right heel, and lift your left leg up. Now wrap your fingers around the back of the heel so they're not underneath the heel. And then point the toes up and lift the left leg up. So start with the left side. Okay, stretch your spine down, lift the leg up, and then try and contract the glute like you did in those leg lifts. This is all about strength of the hips to try and open the hip up, lift the leg up. And that's why standing split is such a great posture, because it works on flexibility and strength simultaneously. Point the toes up, stretch the spine down. Good, breathe by the nose, one more breath. Good, bring your left foot down. Do the other side, put the right hand on the floor. Grab your left ankle, grab your left heel, and then lift your right leg up. Again, squeeze the glute. So it requires a lot of strength to be able to extend the hip in this position against gravity. Point the toes up and pull the body down. Think of stretching the spine in the same proportion as you lift the leg up. And then contract the glute, point the toes up, stretch your spine down, and breathe. Good. 3. Split the legs apart. However far you get, doesn't matter. 2. Hold it. One more breath. 1. Good. Bring the right foot down. All right. Bend the knees. Come down to a little squat. Good. Come down to a little squat. And that's it. 15 minutes. Thanks for practicing. Did really good. Keep practicing. And we'll see you next time. Namaste.